Okay, so this week's case was Dirks v. Securities and Exchange Commission. And the law violated was the SEC Rule 10b-5, which states where tippies, regardless of their motivation or occupation, come into possession of material corporate information that they know is confidential and know or should know came from a corporate insider, they must either publicly disclose that information or refrain from trading. As a tippy, they have the obligation to disclose all material to the public or not to use it for trading purposes. And the parties involved in this case was Raymond Dirks, a petitioner, and Securities and Exchange Commission.
For this case, an insider gave Raymond Dirks information about the fraud, and from there he used the information to try and get the Wall Street Journal's LA bureau chief to run the story. But instead of doing that, he said no because he was afraid of the repercussions from hearsay and a possible libel suit. From there, Dirks went to his clients and told them about the fraud to try and get them to talk about it, to get out in the open so that they could go about tackling the fraud in the company that way. But instead, they ended up selling their shares in the company, which was Equity Funding of America. And then the SEC investigated and found out about the fraud. And when they were filing lawsuits, they filed one against the Raymond Dirks, and that's where the trial court decided to uphold that, and it went on from there. The application law case, the United States Supreme Court stated that the tippies are not liable when they use the information from insiders who are not breaching their duties in the disclosure. In this case, the insider was not breaching their fiduciary duty because they weren't telling it to help someone out. They were telling it to get the breach out in the open and to get people to come in and investigate and see the actual fraud. And that was the reason behind the actual breach or the actual disclosure from the insider in the first place. And they reason from here that shareholders are injured when others benefit from the information not publicly disclosed, but they weren't doing it for that reason. It was to get the information out in the open.
So because of this, the Supreme Court reversed the ruling, and this is because Dirks really didn't have a fiduciary duty to not use the information that he got from the insider. And to add on that, he also didn't use the information for his own gain, but he used it to make sure that the fraudulent company was known about and dealt with by the SEC. And so the gospel application here is that even if there might be some sort of negative repercussion to your actions, you should always do the right thing and what's right in the sight of God. So President Faust had this great quote. He said, "Each of us must take the responsibility for the moral decisions we make in life. Being acted upon means somebody else is pulling the strings." And so I know that when we act in a way that is moral, it'll please God.